IBM actually owns Weather Channel and all the accompanying data. So they can use real-time weather forecasting as a data set to target ads. Adam.
Exactly.
And I think, Jay, that's one of the parts of this that fascinates me. In fact, I remember a couple of years ago when we heard that IBM bought the Weather Channel. We were all kind of smiling, all of us that were kind of in this space going, we know where
I know what's coming. Yeah. They just needed Oz. They just needed Oz to make it happen.
Exactly. And I got to tell you guys that, most of the data right now is actually, up until now, was used for media targeting and audience segmentation, right? And the whole idea is great. You can actually get so granular by identifying the user that you want to show an ad to. But then what's the whole point in spending the money and digesting the data if you eventually show the same creative to all of them, right? Nothing's going to change. Maybe you'll get a little bit of lift, but that lift will hit the wall and that's it. Once you take that data and you actually digest it and understand what should I show each user, what state they're in, what's their behaviors like, where are they, what's the weather, what's their intent and behavior, you can start learning more about your audiences, give them more relevant content. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're all users, right? We see an ad that is irrelevant, we just move on. So if an ad is actually relevant at the right timing, at the right format, at the right placement and channel, it can be really, really effective.
At this point, I'm sure that you've got a lot of examples built up in circumstances where you've determined when you're doing all these different creative permutations, right? All these different colors and CTAs and formats. What out there drives drives results that maybe our listeners wouldn't be thinking about, right? Is it color? Isn't wording on the CTA? What do you see as like, that kind of really matters more than anything else?
Yes. So embedding location in ads, we see a huge lift. And I'll give you an example.
Like, hey, Austin,
Hey, Austin, yeah, and even get more specific. Like, we ran a campaign with one of the biggest theater companies, right? Like for movies. Everybody knows where the nearest movie theater next to their home is, right? But when we show you the trailer of the movie and we put a branded map that shows you, hey, this movie shows right now in this theater, click here to get tickets, it drove so much more engagement and sales than just showing you the trailer. And you know where the theater is. You know to go there and you can check if the movie is on. But it's making you realize that, hey, it's right there. I can actually click a button and go and get tickets for that specific movie I'm looking for.
A kind of personal question for you. I think the three of us, and certainly most of our listeners, recognize the value of personalization. And I also would think that many of us say, hey, listen, I would much rather see a personalized, targeted message that's of relevance to me than an ad unit that has absolutely positively nothing to do with who I am or my interests. That being said, do you find it kind of curious that our industry has kind of gotten a bad rap about this level of personalization and the quote unquote invasiveness of it? And what do you tell people who kind of question kind of what we're trying to do in this space? Do you answer much like I did? Hey, it's the value of this is much better, and you're going to have more likely interest in the content if you have to see it.
Yeah, I think it's a phase of education to the audiences, because to all the consumers as well. I mean, a lot of people still don't understand how retargeting works with the cookies and everything. And I admit, nobody wants to reveal their personal information to entities that they don't agree to reveal it to, right? But there's a huge difference between personalized advertising that is, by the way, mostly anonymously done. We don't know anything about that specific person. We know behavior. We know a lot of things as a persona, as part of an audience, but we don't know who you are. And to be honest, we don't really care. We don't need that data. And so personalized advertising is on one side to make it more relevant to you. The more information and personal information you want to provide us, the better ads and the more targeted it'll be. But it's your decision to make. The other part of privacy, I think, that people are more concerned is stuff that is being pulled from the platforms, being digested and matched and analyzed for other reasons and not necessarily what we're doing. Okay, and being shared with other, platforms without the consent of the user.
When a brand wants to get started with this kind of campaign, like that example, what do they have to have figured out on their side before Clinch gets involved and you can actually make this campaign work, right? Like they've got to have access to the data somehow. They need to know kind of what their personas are and what their segments are and kind of what they're trying to do. And I presume they have to have some level of creative assets. You're probably not making all of it from scratch, or the agency's making some of it. So can you talk a little bit how that gets bolted together?
Yeah, they basically need four major things, right? So it's enough budget to run personalization, so the variations and A/B testing and to optimize. So you need a little bit of time and enough impressions, right? That's the one thing. The second thing is they got to know their audiences, who they want to target. Sometimes, by the way, they don't, and they ask us through creative to understand what resonates with what audience, and slowly we help them segment the audiences. But most of the time, they know their audiences. They got to have some creative assets. Either they bring something or we help them create from scratch. And I'll talk a little bit about the process in a second. And the fourth thing is that they need to understand what they're trying to achieve, the KPIs. So we can actually measure that, because everything is digitally and can be measured. We don't want to measure the success 6 months ahead and then to know what to do next year. We want to actually optimize throughout the campaign in real time.